Okay, I'm here at the rally, the amazing Perth Rally, and I'm here with Graham and Michelle Hood. And it's very exciting to have a few minutes to talk to them. The first thing I wanted to talk to you about was the High Court win that the Qantas employees have just had.
Yep.
What do you think about that? What's your feeling after what you've just gone through?
Any win we get in the courts is a good one. Those guys were mistreated by Qantas. Qantas have been corporate and HR thugs for many, many years. I think to the extent that some people need to be held to account in the courts over that from within management. I hold not only the board and the very senior management to account for that, but I also believe the bureaucracy inside Qantas, the chief pilot, the head of aircraft maintenance, the chief medical officer, the head of base operations, they're all pretty much licensed by CASA to make sure these things don't happen. And they had it happen on their watch. So they should have stood up, even though Alan Joyce may have fired them, they should have had the backbone to stand up. And I think they've done aviation and the greatest airline in the world a great disservice. I think the TWU fought hard for those men and women. They were 1,700 baggage handlers and airport cleaners. They were sacked incorrectly, they were sacked immorally, and they were sacked without reason. And they were sacked unlawfully, as the court has proven. And so it's a great victory for people who've been marginalised who used to work for Qantas. But still, it's not focusing on those who've lost their jobs through the mandates. And that's what saddens me. And none of the unions are speaking up for the forgotten people of the vaccine mandates. And these are people with integrity. These are people who have flown all their lives and done the best they can for their company. And they stood by their truth, and that's the kind of integrity Qantas needs now because it's lacked it for a long time. They need to put those people back to work. So any victory like that we're really glad to see. I'm also glad to see Alan Joyce packed out of there. I want to see Richard Goyder and the board of Qantas sacked, but not until they've withdrawn the bonuses. I want to see the Australian government and the King withdraw the Order of Australia medal from Alan Joyce because he doesn't deserve it. And I think while he's overseas at the moment, he'll be taking stock of whether Australia's the place for him to live. Because I think he's a recognisable figure wherever he goes. And I think the Australian travelling public and his so-called people that he calls the staff of Qantas, I hate to use the word hate, but that's how they're feeling. They despise the man. And I think I'd be looking offshore to go and live somewhere else, but be ready to come back when the trials start because Alan Joyce has done unspeakable things, and I'm glad one union at least is standing up to him.
Do you think ultimately that there will be full reparation and back pay? Like we heard a while back that in New York, nurses or something like that was reinstated with some back pay. Do you think that ever is going to happen in Australia? Because it feels like to me, Australia is almost like this trial ground on every level, whether it's Qantas, whether it's government, whether it's nurses, teachers. It seems to be that they're experimenting on us. Someone's experimenting on us. Do you think that there's actually hope for any sort of recompense, or do you think we just have to forgive and move on and they won't be held accountable, or do you think that they can still be?
Well, Qantas has already admitted internally, through memos that are being leaked to me, that they will have to pay compensation to those 1,700 workers. They've admitted it in the court, they've admitted it in the public arena, so they're committed to paying compensation. Their number crunchers will grind that down to the barest minimum, but they're going to have to set a precedent. The travelling public is ignoring them because of their lack of integrity. Qantas has acted illegally, and reparations must be made. As for the rest of us, John and I have been fighting since the beginning to get people their jobs back with full compensation. Will that happen when you've got Albanese announcing this investigation now into COVID response, not a royal commission?
Not when he said that it's an investigation, but all governments and state parties won't be part of the investigation.
Yeah, and then we're not going to talk about vaccine mandates, we're not going to talk about mask mandates, and why have the investigation? The Elmer Fudd of Australian politics, Anthony Albanese. I mean, it's just a joke.
Yeah.
So this is not over until we get proper reparation for people.